Hey, what's going on? My name is Chad O'Neil Smith, and I am a web designer and developer originating from Kingston, Jamaica. And honestly, I just wanted to, welcome you guys to my channel. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys like what you receive from my channel. So I'm just gonna be talking a lot about my life as a web designer, and talking about things like the software I use, my daily life as a web designer. And so it's a bit about, my channel is pretty much going to be a bit about work and life, and just how I balance both of those as a web designer and developer. So I'm gonna talk about even the main softwares I use to just run my entire business, because I am a entrepreneur, so I do have my own business, and most of the content I have here is going to be pertaining to how I operate my business as an entrepreneur. And maybe talk about some things pertaining to the 9-to-5 life versus being an entrepreneur, and just stuff like that. So I welcome everybody. So I didn't always start out in web design. I actually started out doing graphic design, and I was pretty much a generalist. I was doing everything under the sun. And it was so frustrating because I was like, okay, how am I gonna do all of this? But at the time, when you're just starting, you don't really have the knowledge as yet, and you try to do everything, and sometimes, or in my case, it was chaos, because you're charging too low, you're taking on too many clients, and it's just a mess. So I just pretty much want to go into how I went from somebody who was just a complete beginner to somebody who is now more firm in what I do. I'm more confident about my process. I'm confident about my services. I only offer one service, and that was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it allowed me to become just one of the go-to people when you want web design, or if you want a website built, you come to me, versus if I was doing like branding and print design and doing everything under the sun. It would be like, I was watching a video the other day, and the person was talking about something similar, and they were like, it can be confusing when you have too many services, because you become like that restaurant that has like way too many things on the menu, and when you look at the menu, you don't even know what to choose, because there's just so many things, so many variations of things, you don't know where to start. I think just having a few things, or maybe just one service, is always the best. It's easier to focus on that when clients come to you, and they know exactly what they're getting. They already have a full picture of why they're already coming to you. So I'm going to be going into a bit about that as well, as it pertains to my journey. What really got me into working with just web design, or working in web design, I should say, was I was always fascinated about it. I always loved a beautiful, clean, modern website. And it was just the perfect blend of technicality and creativity. I dabbled into other things such as, digital art, illustration, and I'm skilled in those areas as well, because I've been all of those things. I was doing branding for a bit of a time, but I was always so fascinated with web design. I said, oh man, one day I want to be able to call myself a web designer. This is when I was just starting, and I remember they didn't really have any no-code or low-code builders like they do now, website builders. So I tried code for like 5 minutes and it just didn't work out, because it was just such an intense thing, and I was like, do I really want to go into this whole journey of learning code, and just that whole process? So I was like, I didn't really want to go that route. But now today we got so many no-code or low-code web design builders that are amazing. They can build wonderful, amazing, intuitive, interactive websites just like that. It still takes work. You still have to learn the platforms, and you still have to know the ins and outs of it, but it really is what actually got me into saying, you know what, I'm going to pursue web design, because it's not possible. I don't need to use code. I can build a website for a small business or a large business, and I can do that with any one of these low code web builder solutions. So my choice in terms of no code builders is actually Figma. So I started off with, let me just get into the whole story how I even got to Figma in the first place. Back in the day when I first started web design, I started off with Wix. Wix was like my favorite at the time. I started off with Wix and Squarespace, but at the time Squarespace was just too rigid for me. It was I was barely able to move anything. If I wanted to drag something to a particular spot on the page, I couldn't really do it. It was so rigid. I couldn't really do much with it, and the templates they had were so basic. So I used Squarespace for a time, but then I discovered Wix. This was before Wix Studio came about, so Wix was like pretty much one of the best. I did not like WordPress at all. WordPress was like, I don't even want to get into that, but WordPress was like a whole other story. But so I was with Wix for a very long time, and even though it still wasn't as free flowing as Figma is, it was good enough at the time, and I built a few websites in there. Especially I built some websites for myself, especially at the time, as a graphic designer. I needed a website to be able to get clients and to showcase my portfolio. So I was using Wix, and that's pretty much what I was using for a number of years. And then fast forward today, you got programs like Webflow, and you got Figma. So I would say those two right now are the two best no code or low code website builders, visual builders I should say, to this day. And honestly, when I say to this day, I mean like 2025. Maybe if you're watching this like a couple of years later, I'm talking about Webflow and Figma. I don't know if this is like in the future where maybe there's some other builders that have come out and are competing with Webflow and Figma, but as of 2025, Webflow and Figma are really the two best that I see right now. So I started off with Webflow. Webflow was pretty good, highly intuitive, highly robust, and you could do amazing things with it. But as a designer, I wasn't really liking the UI of it. It just felt kind of old and just rigid. So aside from how it looked, it was working amazing, but it was very difficult to learn, and it just, as much as I loved it, I wasn't really feeling that vibe with it. So when Figma came along, Figma was still like just coming out at the time when I discovered Webflow. So I waited a bit. I probably like 1 or 2 years I waited, and I saw how quickly Figma was advancing and the updates they were having. And at this point, they're like almost neck and neck with Webflow, or if not, they are neck and neck with Webflow. Webflow still has a bit of things in terms of like CMS that is kind of putting them in the number one spot position. But Figma, you can build any website from small to large just as good and as well as Webflow. So whichever one you use, it doesn't even matter, because they both work so amazingly. But how I see it, I see Webflow as a way for developers who used to use code, who now want to build websites visually, because Webflow deals with classes and those types of terms. Figma now uses something called stacks. The interface is more designer friendly, and what I mean by that, as I said previously, Webflow is more of a coder who wants to build visually, but I believe that Figma is more for a designer who wants to build websites visually. So as a designer, the flow of Figma was just easy. Not that the program itself is easy to learn, because it's still a learning curve, but like just the flow of it, like just where the UI and everything is placed, it seems so familiar because it was exactly almost like Figma. And Figma is a design software for web, apps and websites. So if you use Figma as a designer, Figma is a seamless solution. So I was just like, you know what, this is the best decision for me. So I started off with Figma, and the more I did it, the more I got into it, the more I realized that this is a tool for me. This was what I wished Wix was like when I first used it. So Figma has the ability to do anything. There's still things that it probably would need updates for in the future, but like at this present moment, anything I would need to do for the average client, it can happen in Figma. So I don't really need to look anywhere else. So Figma is actually my number one choice, and it's what I choose, and it's what I've been building websites with. It's what I run my business with. And that's the tool I use. So mainly I use Figma and or Figma for designing prototypes of websites, and I use Figma for development. So this is a website that I'm currently building at the moment. I've been having a lot of fun with it, in terms of choosing the colors and the color palettes. And the thing with Figma, you're able to set aside your styling and your colors, everything. You can just set them aside, and then those can also be applied to the global workings of your website. So normally during my process, I would start by setting up my styling, and it's a good process as well. When you're starting a website, make sure you have all of your assets, your images, your information, your colors, typography, everything you would need. Just make sure you have those and kind of set that up in the stylings. Set up your H1 to probably H6 headings, and just make sure everything is intact before you actually start building, because if you just kind of jump into it now, it'll make the process a little more tedious and make it a lot harder to finish, because you're gonna have to constantly be like considering, okay, what is the size of this text, what is the size of this, as opposed to just setting everything up and then you can like just freely build, knowing that you have all of those incremental things already laid out. So Figma, again, it just so wonderful to use. You could set up your buttons and you can turn those into components, and you can reuse those. You set up your styling for buttons. Now you can use different variants of it, and it's just such a wonderful way how they allowed the way how they set up the ability to reuse things or reuse components. I just find it so like very intuitive. So shout out to Figma for such a wonderful feature. So as I go along with this channel, I'm going to be showing you guys just my insights about web design, and be talking a lot about Figma, be talking a lot about web design itself. I'll be talking about design in general, and how a life of design has gotten me where I am in life, how it can help you if you are an aspiring designer, and why you should choose a career in design, especially web design. As most of the world right now is moving towards that digital space, and we live in a world right now where any business right now needs a website. It's a career that is always in demand, and it will continue to be in demand. So if you are seeking a career in web design, be sure to tune into my channel, because I'll be talking a lot more about that. And yeah, so I hope you guys were very interested in what I had to say, and I hope you guys will like, share, and subscribe, so you will know when I post. You will be updated with my latest content. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching. I pray that you guys will be safe wherever you are in the world, and I hope you guys continue to tune in back to my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe so you get the latest notifications, and you see you'll know when I post. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time, as it is now time for me to get back to work. Thanks.